8:45. This is a Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by G. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Special traffic plan in Colombo due to the Independence Day rehearsals. Sri Lanka's export revenue grows 23% in the year 2021. Sri Lanka and Turkey focus attention on promoting trade between the two countries. Sri Lanka's COVID vaccination program completes 1 year tomorrow. The national program to mark the first anniversary of COVID vaccination program will be held tomorrow at 10:06 a.m. under the patronage of the Prime Minister. Omicron, now 95% of the COVID-19 infections in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Air Force to get a new 12-storied hospital complex. In news overseas, Ukraine crisis, Biden warns Russia may invade next month. And in sports news, Liverpool to make move for Porto and Colombia winger. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. Sri Lanka Police today announced special traffic arrangements that will be in place around the Independence Square in Colombo due to the rehearsals of the upcoming Independence Day celebrations. The 74th Independence Day celebrations of Sri Lanka is scheduled to commence at 6 a.m. on February 6th at the Independence Square in Colombo. Accordingly, the rehearsals for the parade will be held daily from tomorrow, the 29th of January, between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Sri Lanka has recorded an export revenue of $15.12 billion for the year 2021, according to Trade Minister Bandula Gunawardena. This is an increase of 23% compared to the previous year, that's the year 2020, when the export revenue was reported at $12.34 billion. For the first time in the country's history, merchandise exports crossed the $12 billion mark in the year 2021 and earned $12.5 billion. It is well above the export target for the year 2021 and a growth of 24% compared to the year 2020. It is also noteworthy that the monthly trade exports earnings have crossed the $1 billion mark for the first 8 months of the year 2021. Sri Lanka's merchandise exports increased by 16.71% to $1.125 billion in December 2021 compared to December 2020 as per the data released by Sri Lanka Customs. In parallel, an increase of 12.48% was recorded in December 2021 compared to the year 2019. Exports maintained above $1 billion for the 6th consecutive month in December last year. Hard work and commitment of the industrialists, along with the government's decision of speedy vaccination of the country's workforce, started yielding results, stated Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, Minister of Trade. Sri Lankan export reached the expected target of $12.14 billion of merchandise export in the year 2021, and a very big thank you for the exporters, the minister said. Foreign Minister of Turkey, Mevlut Cavusoglu, says that attention has been paid on promoting trade with Sri Lanka. The Turkish Foreign Minister mentioned this when he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today at the Presidential Secretariat. He pointed out that Turkish marketplace would be widely open for Sri Lanka by diversification of its products. The minister said he would take steps to inform entrepreneurs in his country about the investment opportunities in Sri Lanka. The president thanked the Turkish government for providing aid, including medical equipment and assistance to Sri Lanka to control COVID. Accompanied by a delegation of 13 individuals, the Turkish foreign minister arrived at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake this morning. The delegation is scheduled to leave the island later today. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The director of the Health Promotion Bureau, Dr. Ranjit Pattuantudava, said laboratory tests have proved that 95% of the COVID-19 positive cases reported in Sri Lanka are infected with the Omicron variant. This phenomenon was observed during the last few weeks. Therefore, the general public is advised to be cautious and alert on these developments. The public is requested to get the booster vaccine as soon as possible to control the spread. However, Dr. Ranjit Badwandulava said that the public has shown keen interest now to get the booster shot due to the rapid spread of the Omicron. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's COVID vaccination program completes 1 year tomorrow. Foundation stone was laid for the new state-of-the-art proposed 12-storied hospital complex for Sri Lanka Air Force yesterday under the patronage of Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne. Air Force Commander Air Marshal Darshana Pathirana received the Defence Secretary upon his arrival at the venue. A location at Kirimandalamawati, Narhampita, Colombo 5 was allocated for the proposed Air Force Hospital by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in response to a request made by Air Force Commander Air Marshal Pathirana. The construction of the 200-bed hospital will be funded by state and the Air Force allocations, while the Sri Lanka Air Force will carry out the construction work with its in-house engineering expertise and manpower. Sri Lanka Air Force has planned to complete 5 stories of the hospital under the initial phase within the 3 years. Once completed, the new medical faculty will fulfill the felt need of the Air Force. The fully operational hospital would accommodate 200 residential patients for both serving and retired Air Force personnel. It will also serve the medical needs of the families of the fallen Sri Lanka Air Force war heroes as well. The special practical test for the GC Ordinary Level examination was held during the first week of December last year. However, another exam will be held tomorrow to those who could not attend that examination due to the COVID pandemic. Meanwhile, a principal of a boys' school in Panadura has been arrested in connection with bribery charges. The principal has demanded 150,000 rupees to enroll a student to grade 1. The principal was arrested at the time of receiving 100,000 rupees out of this amount from the relevant parents. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Special traffic plan in Colombo due to the Independence Day rehearsals. Sri Lanka's export revenue grows 23% in the year 2021. Sri Lanka and Turkey focus attention on promoting trade between the two countries. Sri Lanka's COVID vaccination program completes 1 year tomorrow. The national program to mark the first anniversary of COVID vaccination program will be held tomorrow at 10:06 a.m. under the patronage of the Prime Minister. Omicron, now 95% of the COVID-19 infections in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Air Force to get a new 12-storied hospital complex. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, Sri Lanka's COVID vaccination program completes 1 year tomorrow. Sri Lanka was among the first few countries which commenced vaccination on 29th January last year. Issuing a statement, Government Medical Officers Association said that they were able to rectify the shortcomings when preparing priority lists for COVID vaccination process. 51 million vaccine doses have been brought into the country so far. The GMOA has thanked all those who contributed for the success of the vaccination program. Meanwhile, the national program to mark the first anniversary of COVID vaccination program will be held tomorrow at 10:06 a.m. under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Health Ministry. To coincide with the event, provincial governors will conduct programs covering all 9 provinces. The Health Ministry has informed programs will also be conducted at provincial, district and regional health officers and hospitals. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in Watchlight tonight, health authorities have requested the public to follow the health guidelines strictly as the corona infections crossed the 900 mark for the second consecutive day. Although it was observed that there was a sharp drop in the corona infections during the last few days that cannot be taken for granted, the health authorities warned. Director General of the Health Services, Dr. Asila Gunawardana said that it is a high risk for the public to get involved in large gatherings or get-togethers. He requested the public to refrain from travelling between the provinces. He also pointed out that 800 to 900 corona patients are still being reported daily from the country. Therefore, he emphasized that the pandemic can spread rapidly again if the public acts irresponsibly. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news: Downing Street parties, confusion over Sue Gray's report after the Met Police statement. Ukraine crisis, Biden warns Russia may invade next month. Fujimono shooting, Japanese doctor killed in a rare gun violence. Those are the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. There is confusion over when Sue Gray's report into number 10 lockdown parties will be published after a statement from the police on their investigation. The Met said on Friday it had asked for minimal reference in the report to events that are investigating into the inquiries. Many in the Cabinet Office, where Ms. Gray is based, were taken by surprise by the Met's statement, sources said. The report was due to be sent to Downing Street this week. U.S. President Joe Biden has warned that there is a distinct possibility that Russia might invade Ukraine next month, the White House says. Russia, meanwhile, says it sees little ground for optimism in resolving the crisis after the U.S. rejected Russia's main demands. The build-up of tens of thousands of Russian troops on Ukraine's border in the recent weeks has stoked fears of an invasion. Russia denies it is planning any attack. Police have arrested a man in Japan after an 11-hour siege who allegedly attacked 3 medical workers visiting his home and fatally shot one of them. Hiroshi Watanabe, aged 66, is facing murder charges following Thursday's incident in Fujimono, just north of Tokyo. A well-known doctor, Janushi Suzuki, aged 44, was shot and held as a hostage, the police said. He later died in hospital. Gun crime of this severity is very rare in Japan, where firearms are heavily regulated. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Downing Street parties, confusion over Sue Gray's report after the Met Police statement. Ukraine crisis, Biden warns Russia may invade next month. Fujimono shooting, Japanese doctor killed in a rare gun violence. And that was the world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And in development news, Sri Lanka welcomed 58,906 tourists within the first 3 weeks of January, realizing nearly 59% of its ambitious monthly target of 100,000 arrivals. Data shared by the Tourism Ministry yesterday indicated that the country would need to lure 41,094 more tourists within the last week of the month to meet the target. From the total arrivals within the first 22 days, Russia maintained its position as the largest source market, accounting for 16.4% of its tourist traffic generated in the month of January thus far. And that came to you in the segment of Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on to sports news. In soccer news, Liverpool is trying to sign Colombian winger Luis Diaz from Porto in the current transfer window. The deal, if completed, is expected to be worth 45 million euros plus a maximum of 15 million euros in potential bonuses. Liverpool were planning to wait until the summer but changed their stance as it became clear that Diaz would move elsewhere if they did not act. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, JKH Group earnings before interest, taxes and depreciation plus amortization recorded a significant increase of 126% to 9.53 billion rupees during the third quarter against the comparative period. That is the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, for the second time in the world, Sri Lanka will change the contours in the world map when Sri Lanka's Port Authority will reclaim and add nearly 100 acres of landmass to Galle Harbour. Earlier, Colombo Port City project reclaimed over 1,000 acres of land, which to date is the biggest private sector development project in Sri Lanka. New chairman of the SLPA, Dr. Prashantha Jayamana, subsequent to the Global Investor Forum in this regard, told the Daily News Business, later this reclaimed land of 40 hectares will be then released out to both local and foreign investors for mixed development projects, including leisure parks, apartments, hotels, ship repair facilities, marinas, shopping malls and other recreation facilities, once again making it the biggest post-COVID development project in Sri Lanka. That was economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times over the northern, north central, eastern and Nuwa provinces and in the Puttalam district. Fairly heavy falls, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the northern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the Sabaragamuwa and Central provinces and in the Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts during the evening or night. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, central and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning hours. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the international weather forecast website AccuWeather.com reported that the day's weather was bright with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was observed to be around 30 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 25 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be around 25 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index is 22, which shows fair condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. Special traffic plan in Colombo due to the Independence Day rehearsals. Sri Lanka's export revenue grows by 23% in the year 2021. Sri Lanka and Turkey focus attention on promoting trade between the two countries. Sri Lanka's COVID vaccination program completes 1 year tomorrow. The national program to mark the first anniversary of COVID vaccination program will be held tomorrow at 10:06 a.m. under the patronage of the Prime Minister. Omicron, now 95% of COVID infections in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Air Force to get new 12-storied hospital complex. In news overseas, Ukraine crisis, Biden warns Russia may invade next month. And in sports news, Liverpool to make move to Porto and Colombian winger. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.